Hello and welcome to a failed 1cc run. I've been inspired by some folks in the YouTube sphere who've been doing this here lately. Zirolux, SamsoniteSTG, and the Hidden Fortress. Shout out to all three of those creators on YouTube for getting this concept going, because I think it's important to make sure that we don't forget that not every time that you play a game you're going to have success. Not every time you're going to win, but also not every time is going to be a disaster or a failure in totality. And that's something that I struggle to remind myself of from time to time. And as I like to say on my streams, I am my own harshest critic. And so sometimes I tend to beat myself up and put myself down and realize that, or think to myself that, man, I'm just in total fail mode. And that's not necessarily the case. With every run, going back and looking at it again, there's something to learn. And I am very guilty of not going back and reviewing my old runs, even though I record and stream a lot of the stuff that I do as far as playing these games. I find that I'm not reviewing my own gameplay all that often. And I should be, because then I can look to see, where did I do things right? Where did I do things wrong? Where can I make improvements? Where do I need to completely rethink something? And so on and so forth. So with that, I'm going to play this run. I just got this run here within about the last half hour, and it is my best score run of Kaikan ever. When I first cleared the game for my podcast a few years back, I think I got 3.5 million, 3.7 million, something along those lines. I'd have to go back and look at the video again. But I kind of just got it done by the skin of my teeth. I was trying to score, but I still didn't really know yet how to fully optimize it. And so for me, it was a question of just getting across the finish line. But now that I have learned this game a lot more and have watched some other people's runs, seen where they've done optimizations, learned more about how to really finesse the scoring system, the game has become even more addictive. But with that has come a bit of a cycle of frustration where I feel like I'm not always in the zone. And so then I get into that negative mindset again, where I beat myself up. And then from there, it snowballs into a situation where I will play the game for an hour or so and feel like I have accomplished basically nothing. But I thought about that playing here today, and I realized that's not necessarily the case. It's not that I've accomplished nothing. It's that perhaps there's still work to be done. And certainly watching this run back earlier, that was the case. And so I want to go through it. I want to talk about what I did well, where I messed up, and how I can improve upon those things. And then hopefully be able to learn from this. And hopefully everyone else who watches this can learn from it as well. Because I know that there are people who, even though this game is not super well known and not one that a ton of people play, it's one that I think should be played because it's a great game. And also, as of this recording, I am just less than a month out from where I'm supposed to be demonstrating this game for Shmup Slam 8. And I want to be able to look at my progress and say that I have done something that was going to be well worth the effort. And so I think doing this now, putting this run out there now so that I can look back on it and hopefully see that between now and where I end up with Shmup Slam that things will have improved. So anyway, let's not belabor the point and kind of jump right into the run here. And right off the bat, I got a pretty good start by taking out all of these trucks along the ground. And I saw this in another run where you bomb this first couple of things. You don't get a ton of score from that because you're at a low item rank at that point. There's the first medal that you want to get, the first hidden ground medal. And so you don't get a ton of score, but it's a way to sort of start off and get a decent amount of medals built up so that you can start with a slightly higher item rank as you move along. Just gets you to item rank A a little bit quicker. I purposely waited to take out those enemies, and that was almost a mistake there, where I just about got clipped by one of those fast movers. But the idea with this game is to take out enemies, collect their medals, get to item rank A, because as you can see, once you're at item rank A, you just get free score. It's not a lot of points, but it's still free score. And then you can only carry one bomb at a time, which you see at the bottom of the ship. And so you can, and you want to bomb those spots with the fast movers there so that you can maximize your score potential. But the idea is to bomb when there are large groups of enemies and or bullets so that you can then get all of those large medals and really ramp up your score. Small mistake there where I missed a couple of those enemies, but not that consequential. And then here, I should be able to take out enough stuff to fill the meter at the bottom and get another bomb, which I did. And then the last hidden coin is right up there in the corner. The first boss I have pretty well, and I saw the strats for this. I want to say it was on a QLEX run of just over 1 billion points. And so I'm going to weaken that right side pod. We'll sit here kind of just off to the side to avoid this pattern, and then boom, right there, tons of bullets translates to tons of medals. I'll take this pod down to minimal health next. Avoid this pattern, and then when he comes around again for the big bullets, we'll cancel that so I can get a big cancel. I think that could potentially be optimized further with positioning, but I'll have to play around with that. We'll weaken this pod next, and then get a nice cancel there. This is a safe spot for that pattern, of course. There's other ways to do that, but that is the safest way. We'll weaken this. We'll skip down, skip a couple of patterns here. That one, another safe spot pattern here. And then I'll move over to the right and we'll get this wave of bullets. Then I'll move down and it'll be another spread pattern. And then you'll get this little curved arrow thing again, and that's where I finish it so that I can get the most medals. You can see the boss medal number there at 4416. It is possible to get 4,600 or more. I've done that a few times. It's really tight timing. Stage 2, I feel like also went really well in this run. There was a couple spots that I could maybe optimize a little bit more or do something more with them. But overall, I feel like I have this stage down pretty well. Every once in a while, I'll make a mistake where I I'll get clipped and then lose my bomb. I also don't have the metal locations on this stage memorized quite as well as I should. That definitely was not the best place for me to bomb. I probably should have waited just a little bit to bomb here with all the fast enemies coming in, but honestly, it worked out okay. Because you can easily recharge the bomb pretty quickly here to get to the next spot. Yeah, and I probably should have bombed a little sooner there too. Almost got clipped by those missiles. That happens once in a while. One of the advantages of the 1.1 patch for the game, which just came out not very long ago, is that you don't lose value on your medals as quickly after you drop them, and then don't actually vacuum them in right away. It's one of the things that always made score play in the original itch.io version and the early Steam release a little bit tougher. The setup for the stage 2 boss is actually pretty nice, and once I figured out that you can use the slow movement to weave through that crisscross of bullets, it made that even easier. You want to bomb here to get just a boatload of medals, and then I'm gonna weaken that one side pod. This spot tends to trip people up. A lot of them will follow the movement of the ship and then use the slow movement to go up so they can avoid getting clipped. But basically all you have to do is go to the bottom of the screen and then tap up once, and you'll be in between the two groups of missiles. That's all it takes. And so it's a lot easier than what I think most people make it out to be when they play, because all the runs that I've seen, almost everybody does the thing where you move with the ship and then go slow. That was enough to recharge my bomb, taking out that second arm on that one pattern. And now it's just a matter of wading through some of these other patterns. Of course, you see the count there is going down, but that's going to go back up again once I bomb this pattern, because that is the most lucrative pattern on the boss. So now I'm up to over 1,700. And then I'm just going to wait around, weaken the boss, and get to where it's almost done. We're going to get back to that pattern again, and then I'll take it out, and boom, I'm still over 1,700 count, which means my bonus at the end is going to be real nice. Plus I get the... Yeah. With these groups of enemies that come down in that arcing pattern, I see a lot of people trying to dodge those. You don't have to if you just sit still, because those bullets will spread around you. First medal there. There are going to be some enemies that come from the top, those tanks, and so if you can take them out preemptively, then you can get rid of them. Second hidden medal's coming up here, right there. Couple of spots there where I about got clipped. Oh, and those deals, you can shoot them. If you focus on that vehicle when it first comes in, you can take it out before it even has a chance to attack. Here's where I make my first mistake. I tried too hard to dodge. Got hit with a bullet there. My second mistake is right here. Second and third. If you can destroy all the drones that come out of there, you get a 1-up. That's a hidden 1-up, and I missed it. And my third mistake was right there, too. There's a medal just below that spot, and unless I bomb, I usually miss it. Thankfully, I was able to at least get there, and there's my 300 mil, so I got the extend. So basically, three mistakes in short order. But I can always get this coin there at the end. Now, I like to go into this boss with a bomb because the first pattern is complete RNG. However, if you follow the strat that I'm doing here, you can get a quick destruction on that pod. You got to focus fire it first, though, to do enough damage. And then here, I'm going to damage this pod enough to then take it out while the first pattern is ending and the second pattern is coming up. This boss can be majorly optimized, but because that first pattern is random, I don't do that. I take much more of a safe strategy. Now this part I don't like, but that's when I wait until it starts firing all that stuff out and then take it out to get more boss medals. This boss I could optimize greatly by dodging through the first several patterns and waiting to use my bomb until that pattern that I just showed. But it's a lot tougher, and I have not learned how to do that consistently yet. A few mistakes in this stage as well that I want to point out. Things go relatively well up front, but there was a mistake right there. I got clipped. So then I wasn't able to bomb that spot. I was planning on bombing that spot, but I got hit. And so that was another mistake almost right away. So instead I used the bomb there to try and help me boost a little bit of score and get some medals. A couple of sweeps there. This stage used to trip me up pretty badly, but since I've been practicing it, I've got a lot more consistent. The hit I took earlier and then the death, that's usually not something that happens. That was a good bomb, however. That was a very well-timed bomb to avoid getting clipped by the lasers. And I think I got all the coins in this stage. I'd have to go back and look at the list on the Shmup's wiki page. But I definitely made mistakes in this boss fight too. I try to take a safe approach during this spot here. This pattern sometimes can get me if I'm not careful. This is a safe spot, or a relative safe spot for that pattern. And there's a safe spot just to the left or right of the center of the plane. I do not like this pattern. I almost always get clipped, which is why I try to avoid that one at all cost. And that another mistake, I got clipped there. I should have known where that pattern was gonna be. Thankfully, I did not get clipped there, and I was able to, but I did get clipped there, and that was pretty lame because I know where the safe spot is for that pattern, and I should have exploited it. So it was a totally unnecessary death, and one that did not set me up well for this final stage. I also was a little thrown off because of that, and so I missed some of those enemies there. Did not set myself up to do this properly, but I kind of recovered my composure a little bit and at least got to where I could get set up for this first bomb, which, even though I'm at C rank, you bomb right there, you quickly get to A rank and then get the medals. Speaking of which, hidden medal there. This spot can be a little bit dangerous because even after you take out those cannons, you can see they continue to respawn and fire. This spot can also be dangerous, but if you know what direction those things are coming from, you can take them out more quickly. The missile section is also kind of nasty, but if you sort of go down through the center there, you'll be safe. Focus to take out these two craft that come right there. Now I've got my bomb, got that metal. Now I can bomb this bottom corner and get the hidden extend. This is always a little bit precarious. Got lucky there with that pattern. I did not, however, get lucky here. That was a bad death. And then I took the hit right there, which usually spells doom in this spot. However, I am pretty happy about the fact that I almost always take a death here, but I was able to navigate that spot there and then hidden metal here. So I'm going to have to watch back my route through that again, so that I can try to replicate that every time. That way, no matter whether I have a bomb or not going into that, I won't take a hit. This was unfortunately not a great fight against this thing. I'm not a fan of this boss. The bullet pattern is so random. Yeah, once again, got clipped there. So I kind of decided to just go for it because I thought, well, it's going to be a failed run anyway. I'm not going to be able to see this one through to the end, but I thought this is an opportunity for me to practice some of my strats, or some strats. Unfortunately, I got clipped there again, so I was not able to do anything. I also moved when I shouldn't have there. I would have been safe had I waited a little bit to move. This pattern, if you can last long enough to get here, is very lucrative for medals, even at a low item rank. It's very good. And then of course here, since that one pod is damaged, I was able to get a bunch of medals, and then that was a big boost to score right there, just getting to that point. But I messed up this last portion of the first TLB phase. Most people point blank focus and do a bunch of damage, then bomb, and just try to get to the last phase. I'm trying to follow a strat that QLex did, where you can get up at the top and do some damage and earn some more medals. And so I did that part right the first spot here by bombing this pattern. Then I went and got that clear, but then I got greedy and forgot about the pod going up there. And so I did not anticipate that and forgot about basically what the next phase was. In any event, that was my failed run of Kaikan during the lead up to getting to where I can hopefully clear the game and score well for Shmup Slam. My initial score goal that I set for myself was, I think, 500 mil or I know 400 mil initially. Well, then when I realized you can go way past that, then it was 500 mil. Well, now obviously I'm over 600 mil. And if I have a run where I don't make quite so many mistakes and take deaths where my item rank is completely out the window and I can maintain an A item rank longer and utilize that against the boss, then I could see a really good run pushing past 700 mil. Now, I know that in order to get to the 1 billion mark, I would have to do some of the same optimizations that I've seen in the 1.13 billion run on YouTube. And I don't see myself reaching that point anytime soon, but it's something that, I might like to eventually shoot for. Regardless, I wanted to at least highlight this run, talk about it a little bit, and hopefully get to where I could study it and give somebody else an opportunity to study it as well and make it available so that you could kind of see what strats work, what strats don't, where easy mistakes can be made, and how sometimes that can just sort of create that domino effect. Not necessarily of chain death like you would see in a lot of games, but where a small mistake like that can lead to other mistakes or less optimal situations where then you can't really execute the way that you want to, and you have to compensate for it. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Thank you to, again, to the folks who have been championing this idea of the failed run and the concept of looking at a failed run and hopefully being able to find meaning in it and also find it useful. Because again, it's good for me to look at this and try to study my own failed runs so that I can look to figure out where do I need to optimize, where do I need to improve, why did I make this mistake, etc. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for playing, and game on.